Hello, gang. Welcome back to Human Case Study with me, your host, Lloyd Williamson. There's something I'd like to share with you, something that I'm very proud of, and something that I know that when you see the video clip of this, you'll be just as proud. So let's take a look.
I cleaned the kitchen. I cleaned the kitchen. Want to look? Take a look. See? Look, well, actually, that's a glass that I'm drinking out of. That's something that's soaking in the sink. That is everything cleaned off over there. Look, the oven is so clean. And you know what? I even cleaned the floor. I cleaned the kitchen. I cleaned the kitchen.
Did you see how sweaty I got? Okay, so anyway, I told you in my last video that I was going to be writing some goals for myself, and I am. And I'm going to do one of them here on video. So anyway, I prefer the word outcomes rather than the word goals, only because an outcome sounds like something that's destined to happen as opposed to a goal, which is something that may or may not happen. It's just my definition of it. I don't expect everybody else to feel that way, but I prefer to use the neuro-linguistic-programming term, outcomes. You may be wondering what neuro-linguistic programming is, and in another video I'll explain it because I'll be talking a lot about it. But in the meantime, if you really need to know what it's about, then you should probably just Google it, and you can check the spelling on the bottom of the screen here to know what to Google. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out my worksheet, which is my goal achievement worksheet, and the goal. There are a few questions that should be asked. Specifically, there are what looks like 7 questions that should be asked, and some of those questions are broken down into other questions, but not really questions, but explanations or statements, if you will. So the first question is, what specifically do you want? And when you do that, you want to make sure that you state your goal in the positive, which means that instead of saying I don't want to smoke anymore, you would go, I want to stop smoking, or even better, I want to live a healthy life, free from tobacco addiction. And also, it should be something that can be initiated and controlled by me, which in the case of smoking is initiated by me. I'd hate to go to jail and not be able to smoke. That doesn't really count as part of the whole outcome process. And C, it should be of a manageable and believable size. Now, I use smoking, which honestly is a pretty big thing, but I use smoking because I just quit smoking. I'm in my 8th day of a smoke-free existence right now. And it's not like I'm doing it myself. I'm using Chantix, which is a really, really great drug for most people. Now, in about 2% of the population who use Chantix, they have strange dreams and suicidal thoughts, but it hasn't happened for me, except the strange dream part. But anyway, now another question is, in what specific context do I want this outcome? Like, for instance, when do I want it? Where do I want it, and with whom do I want to share it with? And those things are pretty good. What is going on outside the window? Anyway, number 2, the second question is, how will you know when you have achieved it? And for instance, what will I see specifically? What will I hear specifically? And what will I feel specifically? Hang on, I'm being really distracted by this person outside, whoever it is. Hang on. All right, I'm back. So anyway, back to the worksheet. The last 3 things were where, when, and with whom did you want to have this goal? There is a second question, and that question is, how will you know when you have achieved it? And the parts to that question are, what will you see specifically? What will you hear specifically, and what will you feel specifically? So, if I wanted, say, $1,000 by next week, I would determine I would determine the things I would see when I received this $1,000. I would determine the things I would hear when I received this $1,000 and what I would feel when I receive this $1,000, which would be honestly really good. I would probably hear myself go on, woohoo, I got $1,000 or something like that. Anyway, the point is to be specific. The third question is what motivates me to achieve my goal, and that's a point of focus, and it's probably the most important part, the most important step in this process. And the sub questions there would be, what will achieving my goal do for me? When I achieve what I want, what else in my life will improve? Well, for one thing, I'll have more money. And 3, what will happen if I don't achieve my goal? I may be disappointed, which is something I should work on changing. That I would use. The truth is, I would use the failure to get the $1,000. And which, by the way, in NLP, there is no such thing as failure. There is only feedback. So what I would do is look back on maybe what I could have done differently to get that $1,000. And the fourth question is, what resources do I need to get my outcome? And I would probably need friends, maybe a bank. I might need to get a loan, stuff like that. And the other part of that question is, what resources do I already have? Well, I have a website, and I've become part of some affiliate programs, and maybe I can sell some stuff to get the $1,000 by next week. Anyway, number 5. What other ways are there out there to get my outcome? And the outcome would be the $1,000. I could rob a bank, but for $1,000, it seems like quite a waste of time. I could work extra hours at work, although that may not happen since they're having trouble giving hours away anyway. But that's just the question. There are choices. There are other things that can be done to get this particular outcome. If you put yourself in that kind of frame, in the outcome frame, let's call it. Number 6, when I achieve this, will anything or anybody be at risk? Now, this is called ecology. And it's basically just a way of making sure that I don't harm anybody, including myself, in getting this money. So robbing the bank would probably be out of the question. 1, because I don't like owning guns. I love firing guns, which is quite strange to me, but I don't want to own a gun. I don't want to point a gun at anybody. I've done enough of that when I was in the Marine Corps. So will my health be at risk? Will my relationships be at risk? Will my job be at risk? Stuff like that. What has stopped me from already having what I want? In the case of $1,000, it will be lack of $1,000. But there are other reasons too. The point is filling this form out as thoroughly as I can, which I will. And the final question, there's another part to that last question, and it's, what is the first step to begin to achieve this now? And then at that point, I would have worked something out, and I would take that first step. Now, the 7th question is, if I imagine stepping into the future and having my outcome fully, I would look back at myself and determine what steps were required to achieve the outcome that I now have. Which means that the 7th step is to imagine that I already have the money and to act as if I already had the money. And I would, in a sense, future remember what I did to get the money and then follow that plan. Now, since very few of us can predict the future, I think you would use your imagination, and you would have different outcomes, different paths to the same outcome, and you pick the best path. Sometimes the best path won't work, so you have to choose another path or search for another path. I'm sorry, I'm starting to babble on a little bit. But anyway, that's the steps for taking or for making and putting yourself in an outcome frame of mind. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put the results on the blog, and right underneath this video, actually, and you'll be able to see. You'll be able to see what specific outcomes I've chosen for myself, and hopefully, I'll inspire you people to make your own outcomes. And if you do come up with an outcome, I encourage you to share it. Share it with the blog. Leave me a comment or send me an email, and with your permission, I'll put it on the blog. You can also check out the Facebook page. And also, I would love for you guys to participate in the Facebook page. Start putting some really inspiring videos or images up. I'd really love to see that. No spam, please, because I will cut the spam out, but that's the only thing that I will delete as far as that goes. If you have a business opportunity and you want to share it on the site, as long as it's motivational or success-oriented. Anyway, that is what I got for you today. The next video, I'm not sure what it's going to be. I will probably show you. I'll probably start beginning. I'll probably show you the first step I'm taking to achieve my outcomes. All right. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.